Welcome back to the Robbins Business Show. Great to have you back. Come on in. We are talking about insurance with Adam Trivilino. This is actually episode 2 with Adam. Make sure to look for that for both episodes to cover the topic of insurance, for small business. And this is Fox Robbins, which is all about developing your very best business ideas. The whole idea of Fox Robbins is to encourage, help, provide advice, for a small business, whether you're just simply thinking about starting a business or you have one up and running, whatever the case might be. We want to have you as our guest. I'm the co-host, Bill Fox. The other co-host, though, is an arousing and meritorious but incorruptible Coach Robbins.
No, I'm corruptible under the right second. I have a price. Everybody has a price. It's a big price.
As I say, we're talking to Adam Trivilino, who's an expert in insurance, and we did episode 1 with him. This is episode 2. To cover all the content that he has available for us to advise and indoctrinate small business people, in insurance matters. Not all insurance. We're going to come back and with other types of. We've been talking about liability, which we think is essential, and so I don't know that there's any insurance that's not essential, but it's we're trying to cover.
There's more insurances. Workman's comp. That's the right?
Right.
But these liability insurance, that's just smart. What I say is, if I've spent time with my insurance agent, and I really did, including playing golf, I spent a lot of time with him going over our coverages, and that way, when my head hit the pillow at night, I went to sleep. I wasn't that concerned about, God forbid, somebody tripping in one of my buildings or using one of my products and it blows up or whatever, because even though the product itself might have been defective, I was going to be named in a lawsuit. So again, I work with my insurance agents very closely, quite frankly, to make sure my insurance covers were adequate and up to snuff. So there is insurance you absolutely need. There's insurance that you really should have, and then there's a lot of stuff out there that if you can afford it, key man insurance, we're not going to get into that stuff. It'd be really nice to have, but you got to be able to afford it too.
As we go into this second episode, as we did on the first one, a little disclaimer: this is a technical show about insurance. It's not intended as legal advice, and nor is this episode represent a complete discussion of insurance needs, but it covers the essential background, with Adam. And Adam, we're going to jump into the second episode. I'm going to jump forward to, excuse me.
The latest and greatest, right?
Excuse me.
Where the world is now.
The latest and greatest.
This is now. You saw Spaceballs, I assume.
Oh, absolutely.
This is now. All right. This is, in marketing.
One of my favorite movies.
Me too. So this is what's happening now, and that is digital, social media, mobile, marketing. There's so much going on, and far too many people aren't even up to speed on a lot of the stuff. Bigger companies certainly are, because they've got highly trained staff that understands that stuff. And this is an area that is really missing from even some bigger companies, that when you do put things out there in cyberspace, you do have a liability for it. We did discuss that before, and I said, be careful what you put out there, because you can't unring a bell.
Adam, that's as Coach said, we want to cover the waterfront here on this cyber liability insurance, and we're going to start off with a discussion with you with purposes and definitions.
Yeah, so there's a lot of purposes for this. This is something that there's still not a lot of small business owners who are privy to cyber liability coverage and what its uses are or what their exposure is. And so I feel it's my duty to make people aware that this is available, because it's becoming a real threat.
Absolutely.
And we commonly call this cyber liability, but in the insurance business, we refer to it more often as data breach because
Right.
not the whole form is actually third-party liability. Some of it actually covers damage to your own stuff as the business owner. And by stuff, I mean your computer, your records, your data.
A customer list, your financial data.
Essentially, this is data breach coverage,
Right.
All-encompassing for your third-party liability as well as for your own stuff. And it is just what it sounds like. If you happen to be the victim of a data breach and that results in expenses to you, whether it's going to be recreating your own files, restoring your own databases, or whether it's having to pay fees or damages out to your customers because their information was stolen as a result. So it's multifaceted, but it's something that almost every business owner has an exposure for now.
In today's world, and they don't realize this, by the way.
Everybody maintains records. Everybody has a computer. Most people accept credit card payments.
Right.
There's no reason for a business owner to not have this coverage
Right.
if they're looking to stay in business for the long haul.
Right.
Well,
And they like sleeping at night.
Correct.
in your cyber liability discussion, there's coverage options, starting with first-party data breach expenses.
Correct. So first party would be your own stuff, right? First party is me. So it's my computer. For example, as an insurance agent, I have records on all the clients that I do business with. Those are stored in my computer, sent off to the cloud, wherever they go, but I'm responsible for maintaining those records.
How do you sleep at night? I mean, you lie awake, staring at the ceiling, or what?
I don't.
He's insured.
I am insured, but I don't sleep very well a lot of nights because of just trying to get the brain to shut off. But
Yeah.
I do manage a lot of people's financial information, sensitive information,
Right.
and I also record our conversations. There's a lot of things that go into a client file, and it's not just insurance agents, it's anybody. Doctors are collecting sensitive information. You're keeping inventory if you're a retailer. If you're a restaurant, again, you're keeping inventory on stock. You've got payroll records. There's a lot of data that you're maintaining. And if there is, for example, a ransomware occurrence where you get one of these viruses and they say, we'll release your system back to you if you pay us X amount of dollars.
Right.
You pay the money, they release it back to you, and all your data is damaged. You can't access what you had before. You have to pay an IT company to come in and restore all that data for you.
Right. Yeah.
And restructure it. And that costs a lot of money. Those guys are not cheap to hire.
Right.
And this policy can help with that. So.
Coach, the computers are supposed to be a blessing, not a detriment. What's going on here?
They're a detriment as well as a blessing if you don't handle them correctly. They're not the fix-all everything. They have solved some problems and created so many more that people are not aware of, especially mobile. We're just at risk. We're at risk now globally. I mean, it used to be if somebody was going to rob my store, they had to come into the store with a gun. Well, guess what? Now they can do it right through the cloud. If they're able to get in, transfer money from my checking account, saving, whatever it is, steal the credit card information if I'm a retailer or a restaurant from some of my clients. I mean, there's just so much out there now. The world is flat. We are very well connected. But it's created a ton of problems, and you have to pay attention to what's going on today in today's world.
Adam, for further coverage options that you've given us, there's third-party data breach expenses.
Correct. So third party is actually the liability piece. So again, we're going back to third party liability, which is your exposure for being sued for something.
Your customer.
Your customer.
Right.
So
Your
this,
supplier.
Yeah, this could be any number of things. Again, if you're keeping a database, you're managing data. Common ones we think of, retailers, you're taking credit card information.
Right.
Your point of sale system actually stores all those credit card numbers until you batch it out at the end of the day, or some people only batch every couple of days. And a lot of people think that their point of sale system provider, their merchant services provider, actually provides them protection against this. But if you read your contract carefully, they're very clear about saying we are not taking responsibility for any credit card that you swipe through your machine.
Right.
So at the end of the day, if you lose a bunch of credit card numbers, your clients' card numbers are then used to make false purchases, you're on the hook for that money. You owe your clients money now. Not to mention there's all kinds of federal fees associated with a data breach of that kind. So this is going to help with that.
Yep.
But it's not only the credit cards. It's personal information. Medical offices, accountants, real estate attorneys.
Financial advisors or
Social
Banks.
security number,
Banks.
bank accounts.
Oh, banks. Oh,
Banks.
God.
Anybody that's storing, personal sensitive data, so social security numbers, address,
Right.
name, mother's maiden name, date of birth, things that can be used.
Passwords for all of the websites they may go to, and if they can get at that, then they can use them to go. I mean, it's ugly. It quite frankly is quite ugly, and you better.
I
pay
was
it.
hoping you were not going to say that.
Oh no, it's more ugly than you even know. I mean, the phishing, PHIS, is just tremendous. I mean, I'm constantly getting a notice from a bank. Citizens Bank will write me, there's something wrong with your account. Make sure you go in and check to see that your savings are still there. And there's only one problem with that. I don't have an account at Citizens
Right.
Bank, but they're just phishing. Or you get a text on your phone that says, check your credit card, and you go, wait a minute, I don't have a credit card by that. And that's all people just out there phishing. You answer none of that. You answer none of it.
Right. But if you do answer it, and you have some records stolen,
You better have some insurance.
it's going to be
protect.
expensive.
Very.
You have to pay for just to give you an idea of cost. I'll use credit cards because it's an easy example.
Right.
On average, it costs you $600 for every card number that you lose.
Right.
Because you have the federal fees. You have to buy every one of your customers identity theft protection services or monitoring services for the next 12 months. You are legally liable to do that as
Right.
somebody who's accepting credit card payments.
And they don't even know that.
And
Your
that's-
business owner friends don't
Yeah,
know that.
they don't
Right.
even know it, which is why they need to talk to me or come to you and say, I need this help. Because I
Right.
say to them, call your commercial insurance agent. You got exposure.
Right, so even at 100 cards,
Yep,
you're on the hook for over $60,000.
60 grand.
And a lot of these small businesses that, if you're only doing $250,000 in revenue, you're a startup company, $60,000 could very well put you out of business.
Right.
They'll Cinco de business,
Bankrupt you.
goodbye business.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're not doing it with a gun or a knife. They're not doing it with a mask.
Sure.
They're doing it through your computer now. We're doing it mobile and digital and social.
Well, you were
media.
saying that you and I were sitting having a cup of coffee in just a restaurant, whatever, and you said the chances are this owner of this here restaurant ain't got that coverage. It doesn't.
But they don't
know.
even know they need it. They're not even aware of it.
Most of them don't, and it is, it's one of those things where it's an investment to get this coverage and to get the proper coverage. It does cost money, and for people that own a small business, and let me clarify, when I say small business, it's somebody that might might be, $250,000 or less in revenue.
Yeah.
And the rest of their insurance might cost them a grand total of $2,000 a year. And here's this cyber policy that's going to increase their insurance cost by potentially 50%.
Right. And it's a hit.
But so they see that cost, but at the same time, is it worth? If you have a data breach, if you have a data breach and you don't have this coverage, it is going to put you out of business.
It will bankrupt you.
There's no question about it.
You are filing a bankruptcy, 7-Eleven, whatever, but you're gone. Mm-hmm. You're gone.
We're further on cyber liability insurance. You want to talk to us by the numbers, that is, data breach statistics.
Sure. So the statistics are changing all the time, but the big one that I wanted to share is, besides the dollar figures that we already covered, is the number of data breaches that actually occur on a daily basis in the United States. People are not aware of. Approximately 35,000 data breaches in the United States a day.
Right.
Some of them don't result in any stolen information.
Right.
So I know that's a scary big number.
Yeah.
Not all of them result in information being
But
stolen.
they're still in there looking, and they might be hanging around in there, waiting for you to put something
They're
on.
in your system.
They're in your system.
It's happening,
Right.
and if you
may
don't
not
have
even-
proper protection,
Yeah.
you're exposed.
Right.
So it happens all the time. There's people that make a career out of breaking into your
There are
computer
countries
systems.
that are doing it.
Yes.
I mean, there are countries that are notoriously doing just this. And I won't mention any, but I mean, when we know about it and our government knows about it, we're not doing anything about it.
Correct.
Right.
So, and then again, about the part about going out of business, I'm not 100% what threshold they're using when they say small business, but the statistic is that approximately 86% of all small businesses that have a data breach are going out of business. So if you have a data breach and you don't have this coverage in place, you only have a 14% chance of surviving it.
Yep.
I don't like those odds.
Those are lousy odds. Okay.
Do you put on public discussion? I mean, you and your fellow insurance guys, you put on public discussions about this, I guess.
Sure, we publish articles, but we share them on social media outlets, news outlets. Our marketing team obviously is very, very aggressive with stuff like this. We want to make sure we're educating people, but it's not just our agency. You can find articles upon articles written by insurance agents and insurance professionals all over the country. It's a hot topic right now. If you go type it into your Google bar, you're going to find whatever information you want with regards to this.
If you type a better question, you'll get a really tight answer too. Right.
Okay, we've already hit a few. This slide is on coverage examples. We've talked about it a little bit so far, but the people that your clients, who are the type of clients that are most prevalent in your with your agency?
It's like I said, it's everybody, but the largest exposures are anybody who's accepting credit card payments. That's a big exposure.
Yeah.
Even bigger are again people that are maintaining all that personal information. The biggest, most expensive exposure is if there's a case of identity theft.
Right.
So if I get your social security number, date of birth, and I start going and submitting loan applications in your name, taking out credit cards in your name,
Right.
That's big. And if my information is stolen and there is somebody out there that steals my identity,
Charging up a storm,
not
not paying the bill.
not only the amount they've charged up, but if this person got it, who's to say they didn't sell it to somebody else?
Right.
There's exposure. I could run into it further before it actually gets stopped and blocked.
Yep.
There's so much potential for money to be spent through identity theft.
Right.
I mean, we're talking millions of dollars that can accrue.
I recently saw on television news that I don't know who it was, the FBI maybe, or somebody actually opened a box. They got a tip, and there were thousands of American Express credit cards blank. Perfect American Express cards. Those would be given to people, underhanded people, who would steal your credit card number, your name, print it out, go out and charge up a bunch of stuff, pay nothing, and then, of course, your credit's ruined. And you check the credit agent and say, you just charged $8,000 in California. You go, I haven't been in California in 10 years. What are you talking about, right?
Sure.
And I don't know about you, but we've had our credit card stolen twice. Once we went into a restaurant, I won't mention the type of restaurant, but it was very clear the type of restaurant we went in, and turned around, not 2 hours later, went to Home Depot to get something, and my credit card was shut off. And of course, it didn't tell me why, and I was angry because we paid the bill every month, period. Sure. And then I called the credit card company, what's going on? Just had $8,000 worth of stuff sent to Brazil, and what? Yeah. So you gotta be really careful. With that, of course, the credit card company has we got the coverage. They took it off the bill, but I don't know who's going to pick up the tab for that $8,000. It's not going to be me, obviously.
Right.
But in a business, if I was a business and they stole that credit card of my customer, third-party breach, that's a problem.
Up to a certain point,
Yeah.
your credit card company is going to reimburse you because it's good customer service.
Right.
But if it costs them enough,
Yep.
they're going to go after that restaurant where you just ate dinner.
That's right.
And they're going to say, your system's not safe.
Right.
You allowed a hacker to steal credit card numbers. It
Right.
cost us X amount of dollars. Pay up.
The other thing is they don't even have to, all they really need to do when you give the credit card to the waiter or waitress, they can go in the back, write your number down, write your little code on the back, got your name, and if they're able to get a hold of a blank credit card like that, or not even, they could just start ordering stuff online. I mean, it's ugly. I mean, the cyber world, it's ugly. I mean, at the low level of ugly, you can consider spam ugly.
Right.
Because I'm sick and tired of delete. And that's bad enough, but now it's getting very serious. It's really expensive if you're not careful about cybersecurity. It's going to get, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse.
Your clients, though, Adam. I mean, you also, aside from insurance protection, there are things that they could do to protect themselves, with their computer systems, right? I mean, you must give out advice on that.
Sure.
Backup, passwords. I mean, I'm not a computer expert, but there are things that your clients could do to protect themselves.
Correct. I mean, this coverage is a lot less expensive if you're PCI compliant with your card software.
Right.
If you have a firewall in place. If you have a third-party vendor who is storing your data for you and that's their job and they're doing it correctly, you have a contract in place with them, that all looks good on you.
Right.
You're making an effort
You're
to
doing
protect
what
your
you
data.
can do, right? Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I would, as a matter of fact, for most companies today, we talked about your board of advisors or your team of advisors, your lawyer, your CPA certainly, your banker, your business advisor,
Your bartender.
Your bartender, of course, I would never forget her. Your insurance agent. Well, you can also add your IT guy. Not that this is part of this show, Peter Carlson type guy that we've done shows with. You got to have somebody that's paying attention. And by doing that alone, that will help you with the data breach, with your insurance, and all of these things coupled together just protect you to help you stay in business. And my expression is to help my head hit the pillow at night and I go to sleep knowing I've done everything I could to protect myself.
Good. Adam, you're a prince among men. A great couple of episodes, and we got to have you back. We got to go into other valuable and crucial insurance ideas. But this is great to get started, and thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
And
Yes, sir.
thank you guys for coming on board and watching. 2 episodes with Adam Trivilino on insurance. Be sure to look at it on YouTube. Go to YouTube, go to the search box at the top and just type in a single word, Fox Robbins, Foxrobbins, as a single word. Click, and bingo, you're into the library for Fox Robbins shows, and you can sort through and pick out shows that are of interest, which should and must include insurance with Adam.
I hope it does.
It better.
And thank you again for watching, and we will see you guys next time.